Howdy folks, Treadhead Pete here. So in the introduction, those were the men of the North Shore Regiment as they exited their landing craft in the first assault wave onto Juno Beach. And the music is the Maple Leaf Forever, on bagpipes of course. That was Canada's unofficial national anthem. During the Second World War and up till 1980, when we got O Canada, we were using the same anthem as Britain, God Save the King. In my opinion, I like the Maple Leaf Forever better than either of them, but that's just me. Anyway, before I get too far here into this video, I want to do a shout out in the course of my research for a video for D-Day. I came across a channel, a YouTube channel called OTD Canadian Military History. And it's run by a fellow named Brad. I don't know if he pronounces his last name St. Croix or St. Croix. I'll have to ask him. But anyway, he's a PhD in history. So, yeah. He's got a bunch of videos, and I'm going to post a link down in the description to a longer version of the Men of the North Shore Regiment there for my introduction. And those films were originally silent, and he has added from various sources. It's not the real thing, but he's added some sound effects to kind of simulate what it would have been like if you were in one of those landing craft. Anyway, it's pretty cool. If you want to go check that out, I would appreciate that. That would be pretty cool. So anyway, this is a duplex drive Sherman, a floating tank. It's got propellers on the back, and the screens are down in this photo, but those screens raise up and the tank can swim. So I've got enough information. I think I'm going to do a separate video on duplex drive Shermans. They were used by A and B Company of the 1st Hussars and the lead companies of the Fort Garry Horse that landed on Juno in the first assault wave as well. So yeah, I'm going to do a video on the DD Shermans that's separate. So we'll look forward to that. And so Juno Beach, was the Canadian beach of the Normandy landings. And the whole operation is called Operation Overlord. Now, I got to tell you, honestly, this is not the video I was expecting to make. A couple of months ago when I started looking into this, I thought I could get ahead of this and do some research for a killer D-Day video and, get the first Cesars and all that sort of thing. Well, let me tell you, this is a very deep rabbit hole that I've gone down here. There's an awful lot of information and a lot of stuff. Like just for Operation Overlord, I have found at least 28 other operations that were all sort of under the umbrella of Operation Overlord. There's Operation Neptune. That was the naval component. Operation Bodyguard, which was the deception to trick the Germans and keep them guessing as to where the actual invasion was going to come. So, there's Operation Bodyguard. Under that umbrella, there's Operation Fortitude, and it's got two parts, Fortitude North and Fortitude South. And it just goes on and on and on. So there's a ton of information there that I think will make some good videos. And then here, this photo, this is of one of the Mulberry Harbors. This is Mulberry B that was set up at Gold Beach. Mulberry A was set up at Omaha. So I'm going to do a video about Mulberry Harbors, and this ties into my grandfather's service. He was in the Royal Canadian Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, And I don't know much about his service, but I do know that he worked on Mulberry Harbors, and that's how he got to Normandy. Was he came over with the Mulberry Harbors. All right, so yeah, something like 146 different hollow concrete sections that they floated over and then filled with water and sank to make the harbor here. Okay, so there's a ton of information there on Operation Overlord and all the related stuff that's going around with it. So more videos, that's a good thing. The Holy Roller. So how does the Holy Roller tie into all this? Well, the Holy Roller landed at 8:20, 0820 hours on the 6th of June. And it landed with A and B company, or A and B squadron. A squadron landed at 0755 hours in support of the Winnipeg Rifles. And B Squadron landed at 0758 just a few minutes later in support of the Regina Rifles. The Holy Roller came in with C Squadron and the Regimental Headquarters Squadron of the 1st Hussars, and they landed at 8:20. So the crew on that day, commander was Major Frank White. The driver was Corporal Frank Fowler, and he's apparently the one that gave it the name, that gave the Holy Roller its name. The gunner was Trooper Bill Reed. The loader was Trooper Terry Doherty, and the bow gunner, assistant driver, was Trooper Everett C. Smith. So yeah, I want to do a video about the landings themselves, probably a couple. Excuse me. I have found all kinds of information, some personal accounts of, what happened from some of the soldiers' perspectives. So I think there's probably several videos that I could be made there. To trace the Holy Roller from D-Day right through VE Day. So we'll look forward to that. And the 1st Hussars, this is their hat badge. And the Latin inscription there is Hodie non cra, which means today, not tomorrow. This is their 150th anniversary. Now, the regiment is older than that. They were formed in 1856. But it's 150 years since they were officially became a Hussars Regiment. Okay, so we'll do a video about the history of the Hussars, talk about their participation in the Boer War, the First World War, the Second World War, and right up to today, and they were in Afghanistan as well. So once again, another series of videos to look forward. Okay, now this is not the exact radio. I was down at the 1st Hussars Museum. Not the exact radio, or not the original radio from the Holy Roller, but this is the identical radio to it. And those of you with sharp eyes will notice that this radio is also labeled in Russian. We were sending tanks to the Russians through the Lend-Lease program during the Second World War. So rather than try and figure out which radios were going to Russia, they just labeled them all in both English and Russian. So that's pretty cool. Down at the museum, the interior of the Holy Roller's been gutted, but this is the seat from the Holy Roller. So they have that there. And this is the driver's instrument panel from the Holy Roller. So, like I said, I was down at the 1st Hussars Museum a couple of weeks ago for like an initial scouting run sort of thing. But I'm going to go back, and I can maybe do like a high-speed tour video of the museum. It's not a really big place, but there's a lot of cool stuff there, so we can go take a look at that. That's some more videos. The other thing I want to do is profiles of some of the soldiers, and this is Trooper Phil Coburn. Now, he passed away, it's almost 2 years ago now. You guys know I work in a veterans care program, so I met Phil. But once again, I'm not really at liberty to talk about patients that are in our program. And certainly, now that he's passed away, I can. I'm never going to tell you the medical stuff related to him. That's obvious. But now I feel I can speak on his military history. So we'll do a profile of Phil. He landed with A Squadron at Nan Green. And he was in a duplex drive Sherman. And he told me that they had very little trouble getting ashore. They were worried about the screen, of course, coming down because of the heavy weather. But so his tank would have been one of the first that landed on the shore. So I'd like to do a little soldier profile of him. That would be pretty cool. All right. And once again, as we go forward, this has nothing to do with D-Day, but this is the M4A2 Sherman Billy at the Ontario Regiment Museum. So that's the Ontario Regiment there. They participated in Operation Husky, which was the invasion of Sicily. Wasn't as large as Operation Overlord, but it's still pretty big. And so there's a whole bunch of videos that I can do there about the Italian campaign. I don't want to forget about any of those. So this is actually another of the first Hussars Shermans that's on display. This is Bold. It was a duplex drive Sherman that sank before it ever reached the beach. And it sat on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean until 1970, when it was raised and restored and placed at Courseulles-sur-Mer. So yeah, there's another video. All right. So we'll look forward to that one as well. And this is Bomb. This is the other Canadian Sherman that made it from D-Day to VE Day without getting destroyed. Made it through the entire European campaign. So I'm going to do videos on the Sherbrooke Fusiliers and Bomb itself. It currently has been restored, and it sits out front of the Sherbrooke Fusiliers headquarters in Quebec. So one interesting tidbit, apparently Bomb, during the European campaign, the 336 days from D-Day to VE Day, apparently Bomb put 6,000 rounds through its main gun. So once again, we'll look forward to that. Okay. And this, I believe, is the cemetery at Bernières-sur-Mer, one of the Commonwealth War grave cemeteries, right? So there were, if you count the casualties among the Canadian parachute battalion that landed behind the lines at Juno Beach, Canada lost 359 men that day. But I'm going to read off the list of the first Hussars that were killed in action on D-Day. Okay, so here we go. Lieutenant E.L. Pease, Lieutenant F.L. Irving, Trooper E.J. Annis, Trooper A.L.B. Brown, Trooper W. Feschuk, Trooper T.W.F. Hackford, Trooper G.S. Hawken, Trooper C.E. Homuth, Trooper J.L. Jackson, Corporal J.M. Kay, Trooper H.H.M. Lismore, Corporal I.A. Little, Trooper C.J. McAndrew, Trooper R.F. Moore, Corporal P.E. Newton, Trooper H. Osborne, Corporal H.A. Poklachuk, Trooper E.S. Sinclair, Sergeant A.G. Smith, Trooper A.H. Taylor, and Trooper R.E. Tuffelmeyer. Thank you, gentlemen. You paid the ultimate price, and for that we will be forever grateful. All right, and in closing, I would like to leave you with the words of Lieutenant Colonel John Meldrum. He was the commanding officer of the Royal Winnipeg Rifles, and he wrote, I'm just going to do an excerpt from what he wrote, but I think this pretty much sums up what the 1st Hussars did on D-Day. So here we go. Time and time again throughout D-Day, without thought for their own personal safety or state of fatigue, the squadrons of the 6th Canadian Armoured Regiment came to the assistance of this and the other battalions of the 7th Canadian Infantry Brigade. In paying high tribute to their gallantry and skill, it is regretted that the heat and speed of action prevented recognition and consequent comment on the actions of troop commanders and individual crew commanders. It is stated without hesitation, however, that no higher degree of courage or calculated daring could be displayed than that shown by every commander and subunit of the gallant 1st Hussars. So that's high praise coming from an officer from another regiment. All right. So to all of those who served Canada and the rest of the 160,000, here's the thing. The numbers for Operation Overlord, they're just staggering. 160,000 troops landed that day. There were over 6,000 ships involved, 50,000 vehicles of all types, 11,500 airplanes flew 14,000 sorties that day. It's unreal. And so that was the price that was paid for our freedom. Okay. Thank you for coming out. And I look forward to seeing you again for more videos. Take care. Bye now.